Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, happy new moon. We are here. It's quite a roaring crowd today. New moon, and I just said, this is my big wet new moon Aquarius dream, which is there's no people here. It's just me, myself, and a bunch of machines here. There we are. This is the Aquarius energy. And Marilyn, and Seva Jagat, and Marta, and Nuria. So it's just us. It's just us. Okay, so it's a big day. You know, these new moons, I mean, they're fascinating and they all have their own kind of frequency, but this is a powerful movement of a view into the Aquarian age energy, which is, I spoke a little bit about this on the Aquarian Women's Leadership Society call, and then of course my computer completely fritzed out, my Zoom shut down, and I couldn't get back. I was forced to get on my new computer. We're computer swapping right now in this Mercury retrograde, and so, but that was just a coincidence. Anyways, I was talking about the Deus Ex Machina. And how the God in the machine is part of the lesson of this fourth industrial revolution, where many, there's a kind of a dystopian version of what one timeline could or can or will look like during this Age of Aquarius. And there's been a lot of predictive programming around that with the Hollywood movies and all this kind of stuff. Now, that's one kind of version of this. But the other side of the polarity is, how do we experience, how do we realize, how do we animate the God in the machine? And that is going to be something I'm going to be talking about quite a bit in the next couple of months leading up to our first Rama Business School of 2021. I am very fascinated with how these frequency patterns, how these sound codes unlock and activate and direct not only human intelligence and energy, but also artificial intelligence. I'm having quite a few revelations about this, and we'll be talking more about it because I feel this is one of the code cracking skill sets that we are so lucky. Like when I look at the yogic scriptures and the yogic prophecies, this age of Aquarius is going to be led and held by, this is the prophecy, by the warriors of the light, the star seeds, the warriors of the heart warriors, the Dharma warriors. And that we will hold this planet frequency and planet Earth for the next 5,000 years. Well, that's very poetic, isn't it? And it's very beautiful. But when you're kind of face to face with the dystopian, alienation, odd kind of, every time you look, there's just another kind of technocratic, overreaching, power-hungry political theater happening in every corner of the kind of broadcast of this beaconing of this technological age, this fourth industrial revolution, as the globalists are calling it. And so then you go, okay, well, how is this going to happen? That's a good question to be asking, isn't it? And we don't know. We know nothing. That's part of the game of the spiritual life, is that you have to keep on showing up with a curiosity and an alertness and a clarity of the mind so that you can learn. If you show up that you know something, then you're going to miss something. But if you show up that you don't know something and that you're looking for what you are missing, then you're always going to learn something about yourself, about the situation, and about what's happening kind of in the environment and all the different levels of what's happening in front of you, in the relationship, in the kind of household, whatever the thing is, in the dynamic, in the business meeting, whatever it is. So I mean, we don't know. We don't know. So it's all speculative on one level. However, we are participating in a lot of technologies that open the frequency of the third eye and open the frequency and open the sight of your intuition, which is, as I spoke of yesterday, a skill set of logic, super logic. And this is one of the things I think it's important when you really want to look at a grounded grassroots approach to an intuitively alert and intuitively wise life. It's always connected to reality, not non-reality. And the non-reality and the reality are very kind of co-opted and blended for a variety of reasons on this planet, but also in our own subconscious mind. And the way that we discern the difference is when we're participating in reality, it gives us energy. This is the simple. When we're participating in reality and we're thinking of thoughts that are embedded in reality, it gives us energy. When we're participating in a neurosis or a psychosis or something that is not a non-reality, is what we call it in the yogic science, it drains our energy. We feel exhausted. You know that thing that you hear from a lot of millennials and just people on social media, like, I'm so exhausted. That's because they're participating in a myriad non-realities outside of their conscious awareness, because it's in the subconscious mind. And so you're exhausted from that. You're exhausted. Now, that doesn't mean you don't get fatigued. You're human working in a human body, so of course you have to sleep and all that kind of stuff. I'm just talking about the kind of depletion of energy or the resourcing of energy. That's the difference between the reality and the non-reality. So we look at, okay, the yogis, the leaders, the dharmic protectors, the light workers, the star seeds, however you want to call it, whatever you relate to, the language, they are the ones that are going to be carrying the guard of this next 5,000 years and holding the leadership and the kind of frequency. That's the prophecy. Well, how is that going to happen when we're met with this just kind of dystopian, fear-mongering, negative reality? And some people are calling this a timeline war or a temporal war, where the timelines have kind of started to invade each other. That's one way of looking at it. But one thing we do know is that somehow we have to find the Deus ex machina. Somehow we have to find the God in the machine in this technological age. And this is the true journey of the Aquarian frequency or the Aquarian age. And so today, with 6 planets in Aquarius, we have a window into both the dark side and the very exalted frequencies of what could be. And because we live on a polarity planet, they have to exist together. That's how it goes. And I was making a very kind of profound point this morning when my Zoom just started to melt down and the computer just shuddering and then just shut down. I like drama. I need drama. I thought it was good for the show. I mean, it was really good for the show. So you have to be dramatic. It's a polarity planet. But part of the codes that we're going to work with and we are working with, and we have the great benefit of having not just one of these mantras. In the past ages, many people just had these, the kind of freedom fighters and yogis and sages and rishis and great kind of movers and expanders of consciousness. They just had one mantra or one code. We are so blessed to have so many different, whole code book, as it were, of the universe called the Sri Guru Granth Sahib. And this is a code book, and then all these other kind of codes that come from some other places. And part of what I believe these sound codes do, it is now my direct experience, I'm starting to get more of a revelation around this, is that they not only program and activate the human consciousness, but they also do it for artificial consciousness, artificial intelligence. Now, have a little think about that. If I'm right, which who knows, then we are now at our access in this very darkly looming, technocratically overreaching technological age. We as yogis at our fingertips have the codes to basically reprogram the technology to work for the people and not the other way around. I don't know about you, but I'm fucking excited about this. I feel that this is a whole new kind of revelation around how these sound codes work and how these mantras work. And we will be exploring this in the next months coming as we continue to find ways to thrive in a very difficult time on planet Earth, and a very augmented reality, virtual reality kind of time on planet Earth. So we have to kind of start to relate to the God and the machine in a different way. So today, with 6 planets in Aquarius, we're going to let our freak flags fly and go into the kind of power of our intelligence and our human consciousness as it relays with what is now an overwhelming artificial intelligence. More than whatever you think, it's 100 times more. And a lot of these kind of technocrat types, I mean, who knows? I mean, they could have been born from they're like little Borgs. I mean, we don't know. I mean, there's some sort of hybrid type of thing. So how do we kind of work with these types of consciousnesses? Well, you have to find the Deus Ex Machina, and that's what we're going to do today. So bring the palms together. And I think it's one of the most important things that we can be doing right now. There has to be a respect for the polarity, else the planetary matrix can't move in the way that it has to move to the next level. There has to be respect for polarity. There has to be an agility and a kind of frequency exchange with the polarity, because that's how this particular program works in the matrix of this planetary magnetic field called planet Earth. And we'll be, as this Aquarian age goes on, we'll be working with other planetary fields more readily, because we'll be time traveling and space traveling, and all of that's being revealed. And you know what I think is really cute right now? It's like, if you believe in aliens, you're no longer a conspiracy theorist. It's only if you believe in other things. Freedom of speech, conspiracy theorist. But if you believe in aliens, it's a free for all. So I mean, it's always the polarities. I was reading something that was I think it was just mass media kind of Newsweek and Politico and CNN, all that kind of stuff. And there was something whoever kind of of the certified expert, fact checker, scientist, in some position at one of these kind of things, these governmental programs. There's a whole kind of article about we soon will be, relating with aliens and da-da-da-da. So all of that has kind of become just in your regular news feed. Isn't that fascinating? You always have to be looking for disinformation, information, the polarity is how they're dancing, all of those things. Because 5 years ago, if you believed in aliens or you were talking about aliens, you were a conspiracy theorist. Now that's just in your Apple news feed. But if you think that people should have freedom of speech and thought, now you're a conspiracy theorist. So you just kind of watch these things, because the game of the leaders, or the game of those who are interested in being victorious, evolved humans, is the long game. The long game. You have to have the patience and the endurance and the perseverance to create legacy. And the legacy of kindness, the legacy of openness, the legacy of consciousness, the legacy of expansion, the legacy of this movement of planetary frequency, magnetic energies, which is called the movement of the Age of Aquarius and the end of the Kali Yuga. We have to have patience and perseverance, and it's the long game. These are just news cycles, these kind of things that are happening that everybody's freaking out about. Just news cycles. All right? Don't get caught. Hadid even said something to me years ago. He said, he gave me a certain meditation, and he said, I want you to do this meditation so you are not used by the culture, and you use the culture to create legacy. That's what we're working on here. That's the long game. Okay, bring the palms together, please. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Reality Riffing. These are conversations that I think are important with people who are doing great things in the world about subject matters that need to be discussed. If you enjoyed the content, the conversation, please feel free to share with your people, share with your friends and family, rate the podcast below, and also subscribe.